Welcome to Construction Champions Podcast, where we are burning the house down and rebuilding it twice a week. I'm your host, Ron Nussbaum, and I am here to help you become the champion that you're meant to be. Along with our amazing guests along the way, we will provide you with the resources, the latest and greatest. You will sit down with disruptors in the construction industry. And my goal from day one has always been to change the mindset around the construction industry. No more where we let the 3%. Welcome back to Construction Champions. I'm your facilitator, Ron Nussbaum, and I'm the one that has the absolute honor and privilege to have these conversations around how we get better as an industry. And we're not just talking business, we're talking personal relationships, your employees, finances, everything around your life. With fitness, we bring fitness people on here as well. We bring people from outside the construction industry on here because our goal is to help change the mindset around the industry. And where does that start? It starts with us in the industry doing something. And the great thing is you don't just tune in and hear me ramble for 30 minutes. We bring on amazing guests to help get us to the championship status we are looking to get to. And today is no different. Jason, it is fantastic to have you here with us today.
Hey, Ron. Yeah, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Fortunately, I'm not a fitness guy. Maybe we can do that at a different time. Talk about powerlifting or something like that. But yeah, no, thanks so much for having me on. I'm really excited to talk.
Awesome, man. Well, before we dive into it, since you've just made it clear you're not a fitness guy, why don't you introduce yourself to the construction champions so they know what kind of guy you are?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, my name's Jason Rhoads. I'm CEO owner of Rhoads Creative. Rhoads Creative is a digital marketing agency. We do SEO, online advertising, and website design and development for the construction industry. So we specialize our niches. We work only with home builders, really from any size. We work with some that are, produce a couple homes a year to up to national corporations and remodelers, and then trades within. So we really represent the gamut. And at home, I have lovely wife Casey and 4 kids who are 4 to 10 years old, and so spend a lot of time at baseball fields and that sort of stuff. I'm not a fitness guy, but maybe if we're going to talk about like baseball swings or something like that, it'd be on that time. But yeah, and our whole thing at Rhoads is just about talking all about making sure you're able to measure exactly what you are doing, and thinking of it more. I always say think of it more like an e-commerce company. My background's in statistics and analytics. I started in finance. It's not a bad word, I promise. I moved away quickly, but it's all about how, Bill, I think a lot of times builders and remodelers in this industry don't know what they're getting from their marketing, and I want to prove you can figure that out.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the e-commerce angle, man. This is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Let's dive into it. And I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. And that is, what makes a construction champion?
Sure. So what makes a construction champion? I sort of gave it away a minute ago there. It's the companies and whether it's the smallest tradesperson to the largest homeowner. I felt like it's always the companies that can figure out what's working and then optimize for it. And that's what we do. That's how I have run this entire organization. Is we know what works and we know what works well, and make sure that you hammer that home before you move to the next thing or before you do the next thing. And it applies in marketing, but I think that it applies in everything that you do. Like if you know that you're really great at building this kind of niche, make sure you do that niche. Make sure you're really good at that before you try and go do something else. Like I'm a big proponent of that. You got to be great at what you do. Sure, you can expand, but be great at what you do and then expand. I think it creates champion because I think that's what champions are. If they're great at what they do and they become the absolute experts, almost to the masters of what they are. And that's how you become a champion. That's how I think of it. So,
well, amen to that. Preach it. Like that is like,
I know.
Don't go moving into stuff before you're the master of what you are.
But I'm telling you, that is what happens so much in marketing. I see it so often is people take and go to things that they think, you know, it's just throwing stuff against a wall. They're like, we're gonna go do social media, or we're gonna go do TikTok now, which is technically social media, and we're gonna go do Google ads. And it's like, well, no, like, do you I always say, like, do you first know what your brand story is? Do you know why you're better than the competitor? Because you can do all that, but does it tell you why are you able to tell someone you're better? And then also, like, do you have the proof? All the time we hear, you know, we do better quality, or, you know, we work harder. And it's like, okay, like, who says? Like, what's the proof? Where's your proof in the pudding that you actually are better quality, or whatever you say? So, you know, I see it all the time in this industry. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and very much so. A lot of times people will just throw things against the wall and it just doesn't stick because they don't have all the other parts first. But I think it applies everywhere.
Well, yeah, it's like, it doesn't take long of driving around and seeing contractors and builders' trucks to understand they all have the same message. And then they take that and they put it online and they think it's somehow going to stand out.
They think it's somehow going to stand out. And then they think it's going to stand out online. You're right. And then, even more to your point, they then think, I'm going to go spend money on ads and I'm going to get my return on investment on that, when I have nothing that makes me sound better or different or similar or anything, right? Like, even there's nothing. It's just we do roofs, we do building, we do anything. It's like, okay, well, why are you better? What's your niche? How are you different? It's so important, and you're so right. It's so funny. Every truck says the same thing, right? Every truck.
Yeah, and every website says the same. Like, we literally took the trucks.
Yes.
Like, yeah, make my website look like this truck.
Yes, exactly. No, exactly. And it's really important. And then you just build it from there. That's what I always say. We developed I developed, it's called a digital marketing ladder. And it's purposely like that. It's all about how to prioritize what your marketing should be, just based on the research we've done. So we say, like, we know that an SEO program will deliver a better ROI than a search ads program, which will deliver a better ROI than a Facebook program. So don't do Facebook before you do SEO, right? Because you're gonna get a worse ROI. It's not saying don't do it. It's just saying, like, get really good at that and set your priorities before you move to the next thing. I find that that's sometimes the best way to think about it, is on, like, a ladder. And if you try and jump from step 1 to step 5, which, quick personal story, I did do that when I first bought my first house. I was trying to 2-step the ladder up to put Christmas lights up and fell down real hard. But we're not going to talk too much about that. But yeah, like, if you try and do that, it's not going to work. You're going to lose money. It's that simple.
Yeah, no, I love that approach, because you don't want to just come out the gate spraying everywhere like what you had talked about, but you want to have say, like, we're going to master this and then we're going to move to this. You got to have a plan. The plan can't just be one thing. It eventually needs to be everything, but you can't just go out and do everything at once and expect great results.
Yes, no, agree 100%. You can't, especially here where we know not every company we talk to is going to even have a marketing team, right? You know, so you need to be able to, one, prioritize, like you said, and two, if you spray it, you're just going to be putting your money in all kinds of buckets, and you might see what works, but you'll get something that works. But then, like, you're going to also waste all that other thing. And unfortunately, a lot of times they'll say, well, marketing doesn't work or digital doesn't work. And it's not that. It's just, you tried the things. You probably have heard it, right? Like, oh, digital, online, that thing, you know, that doesn't work. It's just that they're not putting it in there. And then also, not sort of, you don't know how to measure it. Like, this is where I started. Drives me nuts that, like, why can't we say, like, e-commerce Amazon is run by this, we did this much advertising and it brought in this much revenue.
Yeah.
We can do that in our industry. A lot of people just do not, for whatever reason. And
Well, I think it has a lot to do with mindset, because, like, what you were just talking about, like, people look at marketing as a spend when it's really an investment. Like, it's a long-term play. It's not like, I mean, you might sow some benefits immediately from it, but you're looking forward. You're looking to the progression of your company. And I think that's why people have a hard time, not even a hard time. They just don't want to measure that, because they're looking at it as, oh, well, I need to get X amount of leads next week, when setting up marketing and SEO the right way is you're looking at what does this look like 12, 24 months down the road.
It does. Yeah, that's great. No, that's great. You're so right. Can you want to say that like 3 times for
Anyone that listens to the podcast regularly has heard me say this all the time about marketing.
just keep getting out into the ether like three, 4 more times. But you're so it's long term. It takes time, but it's an investment. But also, I do want, like, if something is not working, don't stick with it for a year. Like, you should have the metrics to be able to tell you this does or this doesn't work, right? And you should be able to say, this brought me this many leads, which brought me this much in sales. If something isn't working, we don't have to keep it around for a year, but we have to always be, like you said, investing, right? It's an investment. It's not I love that you said you're not going to get you might not get leads tomorrow. It's okay, right? But it's all about how much you're going to get in the long term. And I always also say, like, how else do you expect to grow? If you want to grow, how else do you expect to get more business if you're not putting yourself out there and doing some type of marketing? And even if it's not digital, like, there's got to be something to get you out there.
Yeah, and word of mouth is only going to get you so far. I would like to dive into the tracking stuff if you for a little bit, because I've never, we've had a lot of marketers on here, but we've never really got into looking at like what you're talking about, being able to say I spent this much on this and this is what it created, like that e-commerce feel to it. I don't know if this is like proprietary to you, how much you can go into it, but if you could kind of explain for our listeners what that looks like to have that understanding.
This was my calling from the start from this, because it sort of drove me nuts. I came from places where that's how we were judged, your return on investment. And I came into the home building and renovation and trades marketing spaces. And I'm like, wait, what? It's just judged on like how many people came to your website. It was kind of odd, but yeah, no, I say that first because I really, truly feel like, the construction industry just needs to change the mindset that yes, this can be done. It might take some different thinking. It might take some work that haven't thought about before, but like, yeah, it actually can be done. You can figure out what it takes to find your return, your ROI, your cost per on a lead or a sale. I just think a lot of times people don't go, I say that and they go, wait, you can do that? Like, you need to change your mindset. And how to actually do it, it depends on a lot of things. Some companies have, we want to kind of put aside, there are some companies larger who have CRMs who can pretty much do it almost to a T for you. But that's the easy ones, we'll call it, right? We have clients who we work with who will 100% have a form online, which, you know what, we just have to go find the form submissions. We then have to go and talk to them about and they're going to give us a list of their customers. And yeah, it's 2025, but we have to have somebody go match them up, find out how much they brought in, and then we go and figure out where that person came from, because we can do that. We do have tracking that can do that. That's where it does get a little more sophisticated. It's not proprietary, but it's just, you have to know how to go do it. But we say, all right, this ad led to this person. And sometimes it has to be done by hand, unfortunately. But literally, it's that simple. Like, John Smith submitted a form on this day. We got a list from the trade person, that the trades or the builder, that John Smith bought something for this much money, and then we have to go match it, and we create a little chart. That's what I mean. It's a mindset sometimes. It's just a mindset sometimes.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it always blows my mind, the capability. Like you said, it can be manual, but still, like, the capabilities of technology to be able to look and say, this person came from this ad, like, to be able to figure all that stuff out is quite amazing where we have come.
Yes, it is. It really is. So 100%, we are at a place now where if you know the person, if you have the person's information, name, email, phone number, any combination of, we have the technology now. And there is technology now to say, this person, this is how they got to you. Did they click on this ad? By the way, was it something where we can't track it? This happens, and it happens often. Was it something that we can't track back? So guess what? That was probably word of mouth or like a sign, that we can't, but that's okay. It's okay to say that. But we are able to tell this person, we know this person's information. So they came from this ad or this source or this place, which led to this, which led to this, which led to, this lead, which led to this sale, which by the way, may get you into a whole different set of really cool metrics and things that, gets deep. But one of the ones I always say that I love to, say in this as well, and is that you also very quickly can find out how long your sales take, right? Which I know in the construction industry, they're like, oh, I think I close one a week. It's like, well, actually that person called you 3 years ago. Yeah. So that happens a lot. But it's very, you can do that same kind of stuff. But again, and then you just measure it up and say, we had, if you have to do it by hand, you can do it by hand. You spent and you can have someone help you, but you can say, this ad brought this much in, where it costs this much, and brought this much in. And what's the number? What's the factor is what they sometimes call it. If it brought in $10, you spent one, you made 10x what you invested. Just like you were saying, what was your investment and what it cost? But
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely. I don't geek out on stuff, but I'll tell you what. When you start talking the number, like how once you start to understand this stuff, the magic that's involved in it, and once you can understand how it converts and your average job size, and like that's how you forward think. Like that's how you're able to predict stuff and say, oh, I need 1,000 leads, because if I get 1,000 leads, it's going to end up in 300 jobs, and our average job is $100,000. Boom, bada bang. Here's our projections. Find us the 1,000 leads. We can run them through our pipeline.
it's a great point. It's a great point. I love you say that, because like we started with what's a construction like those ones that know this information are the ones that can really become champions and grow, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we right back to where we started. But also, you get the question a lot, how much should I spend? When you just brought up, when these numbers or have this information, it's not like a guess. It's like, oh, okay, I want to sell 30 projects. So I need 100 leads. Each sale costs me, or each lead costs me $100. So I need 30,000 or 3,000 or $300 in marketing, whatever it's going to be. Like, it's not a guess. And that's another thing I will, again, all about ROI and metrics. Like, don't guess at a budget. Like, if you know this stuff, you know how much you need to spend.
Yeah. And it's having those numbers, and it's not, this is the kind of stuff when I say that it's an investment is because you don't learn this stuff overnight. Like it took us years to learn it. But once we understood it and we knew it, like it was a superpower. Like we were better than everybody else. Cause like you said, we could say, if we spend this, it will create this in revenue.
Yep.
How much revenue can we legitly do? What does that growth rate look like? Here's our annual spend. And
Yep. And you're not just guessing, which is so important. I love you said all the way investment. Like a lot of times those people, like you said, you asked me, how do you do this? Like, wow, I never, like, how do you track it back? And I said, sometimes you just got to do it by hand. I will tell you, there's not a time for a lot of people in our industry is just as much an investment as anything else, right? Talk about return on investment of taking the little bit of time to just track. This is, even if it's not super sophisticated, if you're not ready to say, let's go track back exactly what ad. Okay, this person called me. They said they were a referral from A, and then they became a sale. Here's what I did to get that person. That's what it cost me. Just taking the little bit of time in investment to track that is even a start. I love thinking that when people start to think that way, and again, accept the reality that this can be done. It's not just like, yeah, we're going to do some marketing and throw it out there. So,
well, I mean, but that is I think a misconception on how this works in construction. Like I have a huge, not a huge premise, but like I have this understanding of the construction industry that most people think it's different because they're in construction and business rules don't apply, but that's not true. Like you run a business, so those foundation business rules apply to you. It is literally your service is construction. Is there nuances in that? Yes. Foundation of business, no. And we get it mixed up. We allow the construction to dominate everything
all the time. Why you make such a good point, and I love to just start. What I have never been able to figure it out either. Why do we think it's so different? It's not, but you're so right. Why do we think it's? I don't know why, but it is. We see it all the time too, even in really large companies. It's like, oh, we're different because we're a builder or we're a large renovation. No, you're a pump. You're a business. We both need liability insurance. Yeah, yours might be a little different, but like I need it too. It's no, it's no different. So I don't know either. I get it, but that's what I mean. Like from a digital perspective, there's it's same like you always say. It's a business. Think of it the same way anybody else would. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just think it's one of the greatest lies we have told ourselves as an industry is like that it's okay to do things the wrong way because we're in construction and your typical business rules don't apply. But when you look at the people that excel, these big companies, the even small companies that excel and they have a great place and everything, is that owner has treated it as a business, either from day one or one day they woke up and realized, oh my goodness, I don't have a construction company. I have a business. I need to figure out how to run a business. And
yeah.
that's the big differentiator between the successful, the champions, and the people that aren't, is that mindset around what are you actually owning? What do you run?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. By the way, successful businesses more often than not run off metrics, right?
What? Well, I mean, I would argue 100% of
Yeah.
success.
All right, good. Well, I was throwing a little out there. Maybe great sales, but no, it's all run off That's what I mean. And metrics to count. That's the other thing. If you do once construction, if you are ready or you're there at you're doing digital marketing, no matter like you whether if you're just starting or you're a really large builder, you know, that's when you start to talk about, okay, what's my cost per lead? What's my cost per sale? And stop like you got to also not pay attention to the metrics that don't matter, honestly. Which in any business, like you were saying, like why does construction say, oh well, I got this many people to our website, or any other company would not accept that? Why? Same thing. Why? I always say, like, what would be the difference? Like, would you accept if someone said, well, I delivered, the 4 toilets, and it's like, yeah, but those aren't the right ones. Like, what's the like, what's
That
the
is a great,
what is
great
what's
announcement.
the difference? Like, I delivered the 4 people to your website, but they weren't the right ones. Like, I just don't get it. But yeah, pay attention to the metrics that actually matter, please. Like what it costs to bring something in, how many leads you actually got, not just I had this many people visit my website or I had this many people see my ad. And even so, I had this many people submit a form. Well, that's great, but were they your buyers? Like, or was it all just junk? Or was it all people who weren't qualified? Are you a real niche renovator or a real niche trade? And no, we don't do that. Like, okay, cool. I got you 100 leads, but I didn't get any sales out of it. It doesn't mean anything to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's very, but no, I always say don't, there's metrics, then there's the important parts too.
Yeah. And the only way to learn the important ones and figure out exactly what that is for your customers over or for your companies over time.
I agree. Yeah. No,
It takes time to start to understand this, and also for who you're working with to understand your business and what does that look like. And
yep.
whenever I'm a big component of bringing experts into businesses before you decide to make that hire, because you need to educate yourself on it to begin with. And you can't hire somebody and then tell them what you want to have happen when you really don't even have a clue on what this should look like.
Yeah, agreed.
So like it takes time, and the bringing on an expert is just like bringing on an employee. There's going to be a learning curve there.
Agreed.
You learn them, they learn you, and that's just how it is.
No, I agree. I understand that the expertise, and that's where you can find, you talk to partners like ourselves or anybody who knows in the industry, but it's 100%. We want to find experts that know, again, but it's experts who have the same ideals, same things that you think about. If you're not ready, if you were looking for an expert in digital marketing, but you're not ready to talk about, you don't have your metrics ready, that doesn't mean like you don't do it. It just means we can help you do it. You know what I mean? I've heard that a lot too. Like, oh, we're not ready. We don't have our metrics. And we're like, well, what do you mean? We'll just fix it, or we'll just, get it set up for you. Or just today, someone said they had 22,000 leads I'm like, in 1 month. I go, no, you didn't. Like, did you?
No way.
You did. What your tracking's wrong, but it doesn't mean we stop. It just means, it just means that we fix it or we make it better. It's like, to your point, we are the experts at what we do. I am not an expert at building a house. I could try that whole toilet thing. If someone delivered me the 4 wrong toilets, one, they wouldn't get installed right. And they might, but then two, I wouldn't know they were the wrong ones, but same thing. Like that's the other thing. I always use this same thing. Like you said, I always use this analogy. It's like, I wouldn't build the roof. I wouldn't put the gutters on. I wouldn't do any of that. Like lean on your experts. I love that. I love this part of the podcast too. How you do bring on all these, it's all experts to say like, this is, don't just go at it. Just throw it out the wind.
Yeah. Well, and I think everything you just gave, like the objections, those sound to me like the reasons to buy. Like if that is your reason not to do it, like you're going to have to bring something better.
I agree. No, I agree. It's, you just, like you said before, for some reason, sometimes in the construction industry, people think it's different for whatever reason. Right. And if there's one thing like you said, to get over is it's not different. It's a business. It's marketing. Like to my point, it's digital marketing. It's we have to do different things than Amazon, but we're selling a product. It's that simple, right? It's a bigger product sometimes, a much bigger product, but we're selling a product. They're selling batteries and such, but it's just a bigger product.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Change the mindset. It's just change your mindset.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap this up today, every time we have, somebody in a space that's always changing, and I look at digital marketing as a space that is always changing, and we're headed into 2026 here. What are you starting to see, or what do you feel are going to be some of the things people need to be on the lookout for that are going to be? I know you can't predict the future and the last platforms. You don't know what they're going to do, but I'm sure you noticed some trends and where things are going. What are you seeing for the digital marketing space here?
That's a great question. I'll give you, I think most people probably have heard search and AI is coming or it's here, depending on what you do. Make sure that you're starting to show up if someone's searching on ChatGPT or Perplexity or uses Google Gemini or something like that. The second one I think is ignored a lot by the construction industry and shouldn't be. It's sometimes a bad word, TikTok, but the people younger than myself use it to search for products and services. Like they're not just there to scroll through anymore and find funny and find silly videos. They're actively using it as like they're using it in place of Google. So if you are not, and everybody say, oh, that's for everybody who's younger than me. But the average age at TikTok started a few years ago. Now the average age is starting to get up there. There are users who are 27, 20, 30, 35. Like you need to start thinking about it as much as you may think it's a bad word. But
I'll say, like everybody that we've ever had on the podcast that is doing TikTok, like from builders to anybody that they are crushing it. They're like they're like the algorithm loves our videos and literally just turn it on a job site, make a video walking around the job site, explaining what you're doing, and they just crush.
I agree.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And by the way, crush as in not just like people see their videos. We've got case studies galore that are crush and have sold houses from it. Like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You need to embrace it. It's becoming a place that's not just search. And then I'll throw one a weird one in, an odd one is there's like rumblings in the tech world that Netflix might come out with a competitor to TikTok, which might be a whole.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing some things in the background. If you listen to some reports, they think it's their biggest competitor. Kind of makes sense. People sit and watch Netflix on your phone or your TV, and they're now spending their time just scrolling TikTok instead. And like a short form video piece and talk about money and investment and time and tech. There's a company that has a ton of it and could be a real competitor or something like that. So look at, we don't know. That's like a totally off the wall one, but I could see there's whispers that something's happening at Netflix. And Go ahead.
It would make sense to me. Like I literally spend more time watching the previews at 30 seconds a piece than I do watching a movie. I know enough if it's something I want to commit hours of my life to within 30 seconds. I guess throw that on a phone and
Yep.
it would be
With all the
insane.
data they have, right? With all the data Netflix already has, with all the content they already have, with everything they got going for them, and then throw it on a phone in an app. It could be a game changer. It could be a game changer. So that's an off the wall one. Who knows? I mean,
I love it, man. You brought it.
yeah, thank you.
For all of our listeners, if they wanted to connect with you, learn more about what you do, where's the best places for them to do that?
Yeah, you could always just check us out on our website. It's Rhoads Creative. We spell it a little weird. It's RHOADS. No E. I've had to say that my whole life. Rhoadscreative.com. You all feel free to email me, Jason at rhoadscreative.com. Check me out on LinkedIn. Same thing. Always, if you see us on website, give us a call. I'm happy to always talk about this kind of stuff. I love educating. I love talking about this kind of stuff. Feel free to connect. More than happy to.
Awesome, man. Well, Jason, thank you for taking the time and being on the show
Yeah.
today.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. This has been great. And I love talking to you. This is awesome. Thanks so much.
Awesome. All right, construction champions, another episode in the bag. We really dove into some mindset and the shift around it and, becoming great at what you're great at before you start to move into other areas. And, this has to do with every aspect of your business, not just what you're out building. Like, you don't move from spec homes to custom homes without being great at spec homes. Like,
Yes.
you don't decide that you're going to build out an accounting branch of your business without even understanding what your numbers are in the first place. The same thing with digital marketing. Like, it all comes into play here, where if we focus in on this stuff, we learn the metrics. You guys, you've all heard me multiple times on here say, like, when it's not, and you hear everybody say, know the numbers, know the numbers, know the numbers. I would say just know the metrics. Like, if you understand what happens every time somebody interacts with your brand or when they land somewhere, it can tell you the end result. And it's pretty amazing how the funnel is. I have the privilege of being able to work with some guys and draw this out for them all the time. Is like, if you can tell me these 4 or 5 numbers, I can tell you exactly how many leads you're going to need to hit what revenue. But it's an investment into getting those metrics, getting that data. It doesn't happen overnight, but once you do, this is how you then grow businesses. And I frame business because that's what we're talking about. Because you walk into any Fortune 500 business and the numbers I want to know, they know. They know them by heart. You talk to Amazon would tell you stuff that you couldn't even imagine. And it's not because they're different than construction. It's just because they understand it's a machine and you figure out what goes in the top and what comes out of the bottom of it. And that it's just a revolving cycle, that whole thing. And it works the same in construction because, like I said, construction's our service. We're a business that does construction. Take the construction business out of it and just, I'm a business that does construction. It's a different way of thinking about things. And it's hard to get over, but I know you guys can do it. So construction champions, until next time, be the champion you're meant to be.